Talking of Platonic forms, do you believe in them?
No.
So universals, abstracta, don't exist?
No, I think I may be committed partly due to this rejection of the idea of forms to mereological nihilism, the view that like things don't exist as distinguishable objects except insofar as the human mind distinguishes them. So like the reason that this thing is a table and this thing is a microphone, even though they're kind of connected and they're they seem to be kind of the same material if you looked at it for the first time, we distinguish between them basically in our mind. If the kind of Humean Adam, David Hume imagines Adam like the first man looking at, in the problem of induction, he considers Adam looking at some water and says that Adam wouldn't know without experience that water is nutritional or quenches thirst. If you took that Humean Adam and placed him in this room and said like, how many objects are there like in front of you? It's unclear how many he'd count because, you've got the table and then you've got this cup on it and you've got this other cup on it. We've got a little interface. I don't know if the camera can see it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the microphones attached. And why would someone who had no experience of anything, didn't know what a table was, didn't know what a cup was, why would they separate, the cup from the top of the table, but not the top of the table from the legs of the table? Why would that be all part of the table? Why not this part of the wood from this part of the wood? Mm-hmm. It all seems contiguous. So the only thing that really distinguishes them is the mind. And you could say, well, it's because you can lift the cup up, but I could break the table in half, Yep. It's obviously though, the stuff exists in my view, right? This cup does actually exist.
Yeah.
It's just that without the human mind, there'd just be nothing to call it a cup, right? But
yeah. So it's not that it's not cup exists as a concept.
Yeah.
And it's not that say number 3 exists. It's rather, and it's because the Platonic disposition would say 3 exists and it's manifested in these items here. You would be, it sounds a nominalist and just reject that.
So it's the idea that there's a form of a cup, because it's the problem of the one and the many. It's
universal.
If this is a cup and this is a cup, why? They're made of different material, they're different shapes, they're different sizes, they're different dimensions, and sure, okay, they both have a round top, but you could imagine one with a square top or something. It'd still be a cup. It's why are they both cups? And the only explanation seems to be that they both participate in some form of cupness, right? So there's this ideal cup, and I don't mean a maximally great cup or something. I just mean as in the idea of a cup, and that exists somewhere, somehow, and that these all kind of participate in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, but maybe another explanation is that these are both cups because we've decided that they are. People criticize this view because they say, well, if this is only a cup because we've decided it's a cup, then if all human beings died, then the cup doesn't exist. That's not quite true because we spoke about this at dinner the other day, but if you ask me, does this cup exist if everyone dies, I'll say yes, because in that very sentence, when you ask the question, will that cup still exist, what you mean by that cup is the mereological simples currently arranged, what we would consider to be cup-wise. That's a word that is used in this literature. This isn't a cup, this is some simple matter, whatever the fundamental matter of the universe is, arranged cup-wise, and we kind of put that label around it. Yeah. So in the question, you say, would that cup still exist? Well, that cup just translates as, mereological simples arranged cup-wise. Would that still exist when we die? Yes. So the cup will still exist when we die. Mm-hmm. It's just that the only thing that defines it as a cup, as a separable object from the table or from me or from anything else in the universe, is the human mind. It's quite an unintuitive view, but I think it's at the very least consistent and probably correct if naturalism is true. The only place that maybe a Platonic form of realms or something like it could exist, in my view, is maybe in the mind of a god. So if you're a theist, I think you can say, no, these do both participate in something like the form of a cup, and that form does exist, and it exists in the mind of God. Fine. So there's maybe actually an argument for or against God to be made there. It's an argument from the existence of God, from the existence of cups, Yeah,
so that's interesting, because
I think that might work.
Good, yeah. So the emphasis on naturalism, it being less likely to have Platonic forms, I agree with you broadly. The other thing is that where I've, over the years, went from thinking that there's objective morality to basically anti-realism, it's put me in a position where the only way I can really conceive of an objective morality in the way that most people mean it. I would prefer to redefine objective. I think there's a way that you can do that in that's very consistent. But the way that most people define objective morality, I think that the only way you could do that is have it as a Platonic form. And because I don't believe in theism, I actually think that it's even less likely that that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see where you're coming from with the naturalism emphasis being a bit more easily compatible with.
Definitely. I think some people might want, I mean, there are various objections people could think
course,
about. They might say like, well, the thing that makes it a cup is to do with its history. So it's not just the fact that we right now consider it to be a cup, but the fact that it was made with that function in mind, or that intention. Well, like if the reason this is a table and this isn't is because this has the function of holding things up, then, you know, if we all died and an alien species came down and sat on it, does it become a chair? Well, maybe yes. But then that kind of supports my view that like the definition of what it is dependent upon the mind. Maybe it's not what the function is that it serves, but the function that it was created to serve. That's what makes it the thing. And then but then you've got a bit of a problem, because, you know, if somebody designed this to be a chair, like, is this just a bad chair? Because like
I'd say it depends on one's butt. If aliens have a butt that can fit pretty well in there, then, you know.
If this was designed, let's say it's designed for humans to sit on. Say I was going to design a chair, and I gave you this with this material, everything, like it's you know, it's very flimsy, and you said, well, that's not a chair. I'm like, why not? You're like, because like you can't sit on it. And I'm like, well, because if the objection is like, well, what makes something a cup or a table is not what the function it serves, which I've already responded to, but rather the function that it was intended to have. Then you'd be committed to the view that this is a bad chair. Agreed. Rather than being a good cup, it would be a bad chair. But that seems very unintuitive too. So okay, maybe that's a bit arbitrary as well.
Definitely get where you're going.
You know, like there are ways you can potentially try and object to what I'm saying, but I do think ultimately, if you're a naturalist or you don't believe in Platonic forms, there's nothing to say that this is a cup and that this is not, except our minds.